All right, so hey everyone, welcome to the Be Insightful in Technology podcast. I'm your host, Shakira Johnson, also known as Shy, and I'm here to help you gain knowledge, wisdom, and understanding to be insightful in technology. So let's go ahead and get into today's episode. So, hey Cesar, it is nice to have you on the podcast, and it's finally about time that you're on the
Yeah,
podcast.
shoot, happy to be here. So,
All right,
yeah,
good. So let's go ahead and get into these questions and nitty gritty. So, who are you? What do you do? And where can people find you?
who am I? That is a deep question. I mean, I guess, I'm just Cesar. Cesar Morales is like my actual name. I'm just like a student at Georgia Tech right now, third year. Gonna be there for at least 2 more years because it's rough. And what else am I? I guess I am. Oh, I guess both a nerd and an artist in a sense. It's weird how that works nowadays, but for sure something along those lines. I'll say.
Look,
What were the other question?
where can they find you? Are you on LinkedIn? Where can people reach out, connect with you?
I am on LinkedIn. Probably get more active on that the next couple of days. So yeah, on LinkedIn. I have no sort of social media, so good luck trying to find me there. Um, and honestly, that's kind of like where you can get me.
All right, so I'll be sure to include his LinkedIn in the show notes. So, also, you mentioned that you're a student at Georgia Tech. What's your major right now?
I am computer engineering. I changed from computer science. Usually people go the other way around, but I'm like, kind of no, I can't like do the CS stuff anymore because after a certain level of abstraction, it's just like to me, it's just I lose most interest.
Okay, so can you give a brief overview of computer engineering?
Computer engineering, well, basically a very brief overview, and like this is like simplifying like a lot of things. You take computer science, right? Take that hardware part and like just zoom in on that for like a good amount because it basically tells you how to interact with like the hardware and the software. It's like that is a very very brief overview. There's so much more detail and like there's a lot. That's the best way I could put it.
All right, so that was good enough. So let's ease into the second part. So, how did you find your passion? And I know we talked about this, like you maybe want to go in different directions, but is tech still your interest?
Is tech still my interest? I've been thinking about that for a while. I still feel like I for sure have some amount of passion when it comes to things like computer networking and like telecom stuff. Some sort of passion, but for the most part, like I guess in general, like tech interests, I still like look up into like more your like up and coming technologies and all that because that still interests me. But like to actually work with them, not as much anymore because it's just like I guess I'm so tired of doing all the technical work, at least the low level technical work that I'm just like it's like it's not it's the same thing. At least that's how it worked with working in IT.
Okay, so since you're at Georgia Tech, have you taken on the opportunities of talking with different organizations that are doing like that new startup type of work or
uh
emerging technologies?
for a new startup type of work, no, I have not. Yeah.
Mm, I feel like we got to go through that. I would be interested if y'all did have something, especially when it comes to like research. That may be like one of those key things.
Like at Tech, they have something called StartX, which is like they have this like whole competition for like if you like made something, you can like submit it through this competition, and it's just like whole big thing, and like the winner gets like their item patented and like a whole bunch of money. So like they absolutely have stuff like that over there. I just haven't delved into it too much.
Oh, that honestly sounds fun. Like I wonder if they have because I know tech does a lot of stuff with outside organizations, like outside of their schools. So I wonder do they have that for just regular people coming in. It might be something to look into too. But so what are your passions now? Like you've been getting your artistic side up and running. You've been going through your musical phase and
Uh,
so what are your passions right now?
my passions right now, for sure music. I still can like still so much to learn. It's been a very recent thing. So like I am by no means like a master or anything. Um it's honestly still a complete beginner in some parts, but like I guess like my passion is just like I'm just like kind of in love with this idea of self-expression, you know? Like that's kind of where I'm at. Like that's like if you tell me like what do I care about the most, you know, right now, it's like okay, humanity and self-expression. Like those are the two things that like have been in my head for like a couple months now. And yeah, I just like I feel like that's where like a lot of everything comes from, you know, like, you know, humanity, like that like you can either go down, you know, like even leads to technical things. You know, you can go down some artsy route where it's like, oh yeah, let me see like how does this like express me? Or you could go some technical route being like, yeah, like this is how we better humanity. This is how we like do all this. So it's like those two ideas right now, like have been like sparked in my mind, you know. So whenever I get a chance to ramble about it, I will.
Look, honestly, that is pretty good to hear. Glad that you are wrapping those things together. And I do want to ask you about this idea that you had mentioned to me way before, the telecom, helping build telecom systems in, I guess, poor countries or developments already. Like you want to be able to enhance them. Are you
Yeah.
still looking into that as well?
Depending on how my major ends up, because I'm thinking of maybe changing some things out. If I keep it the way I want to keep it, then we'll be straight. Like I'm gonna like actually find a way to work with telecom things. If not, we might have to change that a bit. I might still find a way to work on it, but that is my technical end goal, you know. As for my like actual life end goal, be a teacher, you know, because I care about teaching, and then yeah, that's it. That's kind of that's like that's where I know I'm actually gonna end up, like at the very end, once I get gray hairs and all that. But like before then, we can do a whole bunch of other stuff, you know.
Oh, okay. So the end goal is becoming a teacher. Okay.
I mean,
I-
like like that's not okay. That's not the end goal. That's just like where I'm gonna end up,
oh,
and that's where I plan on ending up, you know, as a teacher. But like the actual career end goal is like actually I guess just that technically anyway.
okay.
Um,
So do you want to just go through those different experiences so you can end up teaching them?
yeah, yeah, exactly. Like you know, I like I feel like to be like a memorable teacher, you have to be able to like share your experiences from the field. You know, like I remember one of my like favorite teachers, like you know he was some like I don't know if he was like 70 or 80, I don't know, but like he came out of retirement just to teach because he just likes teaching, and man had like the most insane stories, and I just love to hear those sort of things, and I know that like if like I can do something like similar to that, I can like inspire people because you know that's like those are the kind of people who like inspire you.
Oh, you just answered what inspired you and well, who inspired you? Do you have some other things like any projects that you want to get involved in that you know of at the moment?
At the moment, I'm not sure about projects. Maybe programs, like for sure. Like yeah, I don't know of any like particular projects. Like my mind when it comes to project stuff is like all over the place right now. So it's
Um,
like can't really say. But like recently I've been like involved into this organization called Effective Altruism at Georgia Tech, and they're like their literal like goal is to like just like figure out how to help like humanity in the most efficient way possible. And that has been like, you know, like that's been, you know, chiming like a bell in my head for like a good while because I was like, yo, that's like exactly what I want to figure out how to do.
okay. So, just for another like quick summary of it, for one, how did you even get into that? Like, where did you find that? And what are you guys working on now? Like, what are some of the ideas that are floating around?
If you're talking about, are you talking about effective altruism?
Yeah.
Okay. So the way I found out about it was because I had one of my good friends, Quentin, right? um One day he just started like I found out that like a lot of his time was getting like consumed by this like this one organization, and then I was telling him like, yo, like sell it to me, what is this thing about? And he told me like about like all like the like how a large part of it is teaching people, like a large part of it is like, you know, running these like programs so to teach people like, hey, this is like this is like the most meaningful way, or like this other way actually doesn't do much anything at all. And that how like it tells you about how certain organizations like I think one's called 8,000 hours where like where if where I might be wrong about this, but if I remember correctly, it's an organization where like you devote like I think like your entire career takes about like 8,000 hours, something along those lines. And if you were to like donate about 10% of your like income, like then that would be able to I forget the exact statistics, but it would be able to do a lot, you know, because donating to like effective charities like does like so much. Like there are plenty of charities that like won't actually get anything done, but like some organizations that work with the effective altruism movement, because there are like multiple like clubs like in several like prestigious schools, and and oh gosh, like yeah, like sorry, I lost my train of thought. But, yeah, but what was I on about?
Was it they're involved with effective charities
Yeah, effective.
and
Yeah.
the basically donating your income can help if you donate it to an effective charity.
Yeah.
Kind of pick the right ones essentially, like inform. And you also mentioned teaching people, which is honestly one of the best things because a lot of people don't know how to help. And they don't know. You have to teach them, you have to show them knowledge is basically power at this point.
Yeah. Like I've been like in and out of with the club because like I've had other things going on. But like the amount of information I've like learned like is like insane. Like I've come to find that like if you're like a doctor in like the US, right, you don't actually contribute that much to like I guess like the most like that's not nowhere near the most effective way to like nowhere near the most effective way to like I guess improve people's lives, you know. And even if you work as a doctor in like a foreign country, it's still nowhere near as effective. The most effective one, like literally one of the most effective ways is just money, like just donating, because like these effective charities literally like they've like already like curated a whole list of effective charities where like you know like this small amount of money can like essentially save a life for around like $3,200. You can like save a life like technically when it involving like things like malaria nets and a whole bunch of other stuff like oh wow, there's just so much to learn in that thing. But and like it's so like I'm thinking of doing like a program with them this summer to like I guess like relearn a lot of things that I like have forgotten. So yeah, there's that.
That's not like that fits you very well.
Oh,
Like,
absolutely.
like I know you're gonna enjoy that working to your humanitarian philanthropist aspect of yourself. I see
Yeah,
you. I
yeah.
see
The only
you.
the only issue is like there's a lot of reading, and like for me, I've always had difficulty reading. So it's like oh 3 hours a week of reading. It's like damn, like it's a lot, you know. But
Uh,
I figure something out.
You will. I know you'll figure something out. All right, so I want to go into like describing your journey of like how you got into tech and just where did you start? Was it like you started younger, you started playing with computers? Where was your beginning?
Where was my beginning? I guess like I always grew up playing games, but like you know, of course, that doesn't immediately spark an interest in tech. You know, just like oh, like let me just hop on my game and like just like relax. You know, um, I guess like the first amount of like experience with tech I had was like when I was like a bit younger. My brother he built his like own computer, and I was like, oh yeah, that's really cool. You know, let me like I'm not like I guess I helped him build it, but he really did all the work. You know, and I just saw. And then one day I was taking like a band class in Rockdale, and like I remember one day it's like yo, I don't have an instrument, I can't really do anything, so like they like were working hard to like transfer me to a different class, and they ended up transferring me to this like IT class in some place called RCA, and that's kind of where like everything started. And then yeah, I think I don't know if your story is similar to mine, but if it involves that class, then yeah, that's kind of where everything began. Um, yeah, some like insane teacher who obviously had like just like some insane teacher that like just like lets you do whatever you want, and like and it was like such a it was such a new experience to me, honestly. Like that was the first class I've ever had that like I needed to like use my mind. Because like, you know, a lot of like the high school that I went to, like it's just mind numbing. It's like, yeah, like you don't try, you don't do anything really. But there it was like, oh, you got to think, you know, oh, you got only this is the only day you could do this. If you don't do it, that's tough. And it's like, it was just like, it was just such like, it was a well needed experience, I will say. Yeah.
Yeah, that class started it all for me, really. So I I understand.
Yeah.
So what is it? Did your brother go through that class as well?
Oh,
Or
absolutely not. No. The moment like after a year of taking that class, I knew more about technology than he ever will. I won't say ever will, but like by the time that I graduated, I know like I am the IT person of the house. It's like that's just, and like people like my siblings do come up to me and be like, hey, like how do you fix this? And I was like, yeah, I got you. Um, yeah, it's stuff like that.
okay, so I want to like go back to the band, like band thing. So you were going to try to take band originally before you were going to RCA? Like you want to do music before?
No, actually, like it was such a weird little thing. Like, I told him it was like during like I think it was during like some high school open house where like I was trying to figure out like what this like elective would be, and then like I was thinking like, oh, I could do band, but then I thought then like, you know, this I think I was like self-conscious or something, or like I just didn't have an instrument, or I never bothered to get an instrument or anything like that. And I feel like part of it was me being self-conscious because like a large part of me that like a large part of like that stopped me from learning any sort of instrument or doing any sort of like creative things um was because I lacked like the self-confidence. Like I lacked the ability to think that I could actually do it, to do anything really, that like anything that I would make would just not be worthwhile. And now that perspective has changed. You know, now I think like I have this newfound like confidence that's like, yo, like I'm smart enough to like do this. I'm like creative enough to like do this. Like I can actually do this, you know. The only thing holding me back now is like, you know, I've been going through like a burnout for the past months. And so it's like I know I can absolutely do this, but I don't want to do it. You know, it's like, you know, that's what's going on now. But I know that like once I'm like overcome with once I'm like done with this, you know, I'll be like the best I've ever had, you know.
Mhm.
The way I put it is like I put it in like this cave analogy. It's like you know, you're in this cave and it's dark and you're trying to get out the cave, right? Because you know you can't see anything. You know, you don't want to be in some like place that's like, you know, you ain't got no sun. But in this cave, I found like all these like treasures that literally better my life. But I'm still in the cave, you know, so I can't really do much with them until I get out the cave. So the moment I'm out this cave, it'll be good, you know.
Boy, I like that analogy.
Yeah.
So you did you feel like you ever went through like that imposter syndrome type phase in the beginning, and then now you found that confidence and you've basically went out and done as much as you could and you reached that burnout point now?
Sweetie, I still live in imposter syndrome to this day. You know, I've met so many people like at tech, and like I've had this since like I was like little, you know, like people would say I'm smart. I'm like, no, just do my work, which like was honestly the case. But now like, you know, I know that like I am like smart enough to do like a lot of things and like creative enough to do a lot of things. So it's like I just need to like when it comes to creativity, I just need to like I guess learn my fundamentals because you know when you learn about like the tech stuff, you know you learn the very introductory things like the basics, and it's like that like helps you with everything else. For what I've been doing with art stuff is I've been just going willy nilly, but I know I need to like get this like foundational level that like I just haven't had. So I say that, but I took like 4 years of art in high school, but that was like a lot. That was like very chilled out, low key. Nothing much happened. Which I still talk to my art teacher a little bit, which is great.
Really?
I reached
Oh,
out to her like a couple weeks ago, and like we met up and like after school, and that was really sweet. So
oh, that's pretty cool.
yeah.
Honestly, I want to go back to RCA and I want to connect back with the people that like the administrators and teachers that I talked to. I want to go back and connect with them because if you don't know this, like they helped raise money to help me get my associates. Like I need to go back and like pay my dues and just
Yeah.
talk to them. Because if it wasn't for them, I don't think I would have gotten my associates like that right after high school.
Yeah, I did not actually know to help you fundraise. Like,
Yeah, so
that's
yeah,
insane. Okay.
right.
Yeah.
It's just like sometimes you just have to go out and ask people, let people know your situations, and they're willing to help. Yeah. So
Yeah.
definitely, I like that you're able to connect back. The fact that you're able to reach back out to them, they respond. That's like great. I gotta
I
go
mean,
talk to people.
the way she responded was like, "Of course I remember you. You was one of my favorite students." And I was like, I felt so like, like so good hearing that. I was like, "Hey, yo, like that's awesome." It's also funny you mentioned fundraising because I myself have to like fundraise for I don't remember if you like recall, but I remember saying that I was gonna go to end up going to Africa this summer to like help give water to some people. So like no longer actually gonna go this summer because I couldn't fundraise enough in time. Partly because of the burnout. But I'm planning to go this spring. So like I get what you mean by like you gotta like reach out to people, because that is something I absolutely have to do.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Look, the event, well, the hype thing that I told you about, the hype organization,
yeah,
I went to one of their events that Thursday, like this Thursday. I really do think it is like it'll fit for you. It's
yeah.
so many different people doing so many different things, and you get an outlook on everybody.
Give me
So
2 more months, I'll be there.
honestly, what is it? Yeah, because they did check my ID at the door. So yeah.
Yeah.
It was probably because it was at like a bar like lounge place. So
Mm,
if there's like another event before, I'll let you know. But there's also another one I want to tell you about TAG, Technology Association of Georgia.
mm.
I have a mentor who is basically leading me through all of these events, and she's just telling me about them all. I'm gonna make sure y'all know too.
All
Make sure
right,
you
all
know.
right, all right, all right.
So once
Keep
I
us
get the
posted.
information, yeah, I'll make sure I give it to you. Easing into the next part, like what are your thoughts, comments, and concerns of like what's going on in the tech industry now? Some things that you may want to address, just publicly make note of.
Tech industry right now.
Mhm.
Um,
Could be good or bad.
I
Could
mean,
be
like,
something that you just saw that popped out to you.
for me, like, the environment is always like it's one of my biggest concerns with the world, like, environmental stuff. You could talk about technology for like, more like software as things, more like company based things. For me, it's always been the environment. It's like it's always been like like how do you like recycle these like lithium ion batteries type stuff. How do and then also like other humanitarian issues like when it comes to like cobalt mining. Like that's a whole other like can of worms. It's like that's some like human rights violation stuff there, but also like kind of need that. But luckily companies have like started developing batteries that like require less of that. It's just like that's where my mind has been like, that's where my like lenses have been pointing to like so far. Not really sure what's going on with company stuff. I know Elon's trying to buy Twitter, which is like weird, but
So he already bought Twitter, didn't he?
isn't he like in the process of doing it right now?
Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. I
Honestly,
might be wrong.
I don't know much about it. I just saw like, oh, he's buying Twitter, and I'm just like, why? I was just like, why?
That's just the world we live in right now.
Like,
Yeah,
it's like one of those things where companies, they grow, you want to sell, somebody's willing to buy for what is it, 44 million billion? I don't remember. Is this 44 million maybe? That's
I
a
want to
large
say like
amount.
yeah,
So, but when it comes to these environmental issues, are you looking to, honestly, I really think you should look up some of the organizations that focus on these that are nonprofit, some NPOs that you can join for free even and just get involved, go to their events and see what they're doing
mhm,
and networking with them. That has been kind of like my field this year, is just finding community, finding a network that is dealing with what I really want to get interested in. Because the people that you're around are the people you're most likely to kind of become. Like you'll
yeah.
be, you'll end up like your closest group of people. So along with that, how can somebody kind of get involved with doing that from your perspective? From what you've done, you are currently in school, you find your organizations at school. How can others get involved like that there are a lot of people at tech that may be listening in. How can people start where you start?
Start where I start. Well, dang. Um, that is a good question. What do you mean by that? You mean like how do you like end up where I'm at right now? Or
Yeah.
how do you like oh okay.
Yeah.
Well definitely for one, things I don't know if you want to like be like at this position right now. Because like I said, we had like a hiccup right now. But if you really wanted to be in my position, you could, just like start off, high school, be a good student, end up either immediately going to tech or transferring in. That's what I did. You gotta live in Georgia. That'll make transferring easier. You gotta be very like shy when you're young, but then like suddenly like around like senior year, just start popping off and like start talking to people. You gotta learn a lot. You gotta go from like humble beginnings to like social butterfly like out of nowhere. You just gotta do that, and then after you're done with that, you want to just like if you did transfer, no, even if you didn't transfer, right? You would want to get your like bad habits that you had in high school, so like doing everything last minute because it just worked. You want to keep that up in college until you finally slip up, and then like you kind of like be like, dang, that's crazy. That's what I'll say. But like even then, the biggest way to like all jokes aside though, if you really want to like end up here, one, people is such like a big part, because like that's how you get like ideas from out of your head. You got people around you. Having like such a diverse like group of friends is always fantastic. Like I know like my life would not be the same without like diversity, because like I love just having like a whole like super friends, because like it's just like all these like spices. You can't have bland food, you have to have all these like spiced up foods. That is like what like gives like life to life, really. That gives you like ideas, that gives you like other like points to view things. I love talking to people, asking like how they think about certain things, and it's always such an interesting kind of talk. So you gotta have people around in your circle, even like even ones that you don't per se agree with, but like they just still, if they're cool enough to have around, and like yeah, just no bad blood. um
I
and
was about to say different people with different point of views.
Yeah, exactly. Some people with different point of views. That's where the whole diversity comes in. You got to find out what you're passionate about. That's a big thing. For me, I know I don't want to work at a desk job, in the cubicle working, 9 to 5. I feel like I'd be miserable in that. I refuse to do that. And that's why I'm like, yo, if I work in the telecom industry, I'll be like setting that stuff up, and that'll be fine. That's how like I like that's how I want to work. I know there's some people who are content with where they are at. Good for them. That's not me. So find out what you're passionate about. Don't end up like, don't work like, don't work like 5 years of your life towards something that you can end up hating. Like I know I can't do that, and I'm happy that I found out what I actually care about now than like finding out when I'm like 25. I'm 20 years old, and like the fact that I'm going through like this quarter life crisis is like, it's eye-opening.
Oh, what I do want to talk to you about is the burnout that you mentioned. Before we wrap it up, the burnout that you mentioned, like what have been some things that have brought you out of that? And are you actively doing that now, like easing your way out of that stage?
um so having like the need to be accountable is the biggest thing, because for me it's like such a loss of like intrinsic motivation. And so like and the only extrinsic stuff that I had was like getting your grades, or like doing this other stuff, because like that's what your like family wants. And then like the moment you stop caring about that, it's a dangerous field. That's a dangerous game you're playing, because like now you just don't want to do, now you don't actually have a desire to do anything. But one thing I had going on was I had this one class that I was taking. It was a lab class, and like the last couple assignments was a project, and you had to work in a group. And for me, I don't like disappointing people, and I like being like, the very least one of like the mid people in the group, like, like if I have to be like the star player, I'll do that. But like if I can be the mid, I'm content with that. So I had to make sure I had to keep my weight up. And so doing that made sure that I kept my workflow going on. Ended up getting to be in the class. I have no complaints. It's like, that class, one, is hard to begin with. Two, I was dealing with like some severe burnout. It's like, and I got to pee. I'm like, I'm fine with that. Like thank the heavens or something like that. Thank the world, praise the world, something like that. But yeah, it's just have some sort of accountability. Like I'm currently trying to like get an accountability buddy, because stuff is hard. And I don't want to put too much weight on them. So I'm just trying to like reach out to people, be like, hey, you're trying to like remind me to do this one thing. Just like, people like to help other people. Good people like good people.
Look,
And
let
so,
me tell you about the accountability stuff real quick.
all right.
So I set up weekly calls with Johnny, actually. So Johnny and I are accountability buddies right now. All I had to really do was put it on my calendar. If it's on my calendar, I'm gonna do it.
All right,
So
yeah. That's
if
the big
you,
thing, your calendar. Yeah.
yeah. So honestly, when it comes down to it, if you need accountability, we schedule a set day in a week. We talk about the things we're gonna do for the week, and we recap. And we can talk throughout, but it's just checking in. Like there was a fire underneath my butt for this last week because I was just like, I don't want to disappoint. I didn't want to disappoint either. So it was just, I actually did what I said I was going to do. And we're going to continue recapping, like letting them know what you need, setting up set dates, and just being there, showing up for them, showing up for yourself. That's necessary. So if we got to talk about this, if I need to put you on the calendar so we can go ahead and, make sure you're straight.
If you want to put me on the calendar, I'm more than happy to be on the calendar.
Okay. So what is it? Easing back into the final segment of the episode. What is a motivating and insightful quote that has helped you along your journey?
It's helped me along my journey.
Mm-hmm.
In all honesty, I just kind of come up with stuff on the fly. But like, I guess, no, okay. One quote that I keep hearing again and again that like helps me: just take it one day at a time. Just take it one day at a time. I thought of making my own quote, but I'm like, nah, like let me just like give back to like what I always hear, just take it one day at a time. Nobody's perfect.
At all.
Yeah.
Like every day something new comes, and even then it's so much to explore each day. You wake up, you do something.
Yeah.
If that's enough for you that day, that's enough for you that day. If you want to go out and just try some more, try some more. It's a lot of self-fulfillment that comes with it. Like if you want to be happy, you have to think for yourself first. You have to do for yourself first. You can't fill someone else's cup up if you're not full for yourself. That's one of those things where, yeah, take it one day at a time, ease into it.
Ease into it. I like that sound. All right.
So what is it? I'll make sure to include Cesar's LinkedIn in the show notes, and you guys can hopefully reach out to him if you want to be his accountability buddy. He's available. He's out there.
My calendar's empty right now, so.
But thank you guys for listening. Thank you for tuning in to gain some knowledge, wisdom, and understanding to be insightful in technology. And we'll stay tuned for the next episodes.